Welcome to my Atari ST nostalgia trip. I have been offline for a bit, actually for more than a month, due to some personal and business trips abroad. So let's come back with one of those special games for the ST. I am today going to have a go at the ST port of the very first video game that used rotoscoping. It is Karateka, originally released December 1984 on the Apple II and ported to the ST as late as in 1988. And this game even got ported to iOS and Android in 2013, but we're not focusing on those now. This video is about the ST port. And most people know the creator of this game, actually, Jordan Mechner, because he made a little game called Prince of Persia, famous for the beautifully rotoscoped animations in that. And many people even think that's the first video game that used rotoscoping, but that's not true. That's not his first go at rotoscoping a video game. This game actually is. And it surely is not the first time rotoscoping was used for animations, because the very first rotoscoping was actually patented and done in 1915 by the legendary Max Fleischer, who has actually started capturing footage by filming his brother, and then even using live dancing footage of Calloway like we see here. And the patent expired in 1934, and of course then Disney immediately jumped on it and started using the same techniques, although many live performances were more of an inspiration than exact animation frame templates, but he used it for Alice in Wonderland and even Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And Jordan Mechner decided that this would be a really good technique to use for video games as well. And as he and his dad were learning karate at the time, he wanted to make a karate game, so they shot Super 8 footage of their karate teacher, and later he even also shot footage of himself and his father to get some extra footage, like we see here. And he used every third frame of the 18 FPS Super 8 film to create the 6 FPS game animations that hopefully would make the game look fantastic. And when the original game came out in 1984, it really looked stunning for an Apple II game. The question was, of course, did the ST port improve on this, or is it just another 8-bit port that looks a bit nicer but nothing more? Does this game have any more to offer than nice rotoscoped graphics? And is it still worth playing today? Now, after this very long history and intro, I think it is time to find out how well the game still holds up. So we just need to start up the game and see how far I can get. And here we finally are. This game takes forever to load. And it starts off with a intro that's meant to be very, very cinematic. That gives us also the very long backstory of the game. And of course some graphics, where we see the adapted version for the Atari ST has been done by Andromeda, Caesar Studio. Which I'm not sure if the same Andromeda that did International Karate. Probably not, because this game doesn't really hold up, to be honest. And the intro music is extremely loud in this game. But the long backstory ends with the sentence, "This is the way of the Karateka," which I guess is a nice touch. But yeah, the backstory is basically there's a princess kidnapped by a bad guy, and we have to defeat all the guards and the bad guy to save her. And of course, the intro continues by the bad guy putting the princess in prison with his what's supposed to be a hawk or a falcon, but it looks more like a vulture. And yeah, as the princess throws herself to the ground, I honestly also want to cry a bit, because apart from nice looking graphics, there seems to be... And I do apologize for the very loud sound, but the sound effects are actually quite soft. And before the game starts in demo mode, I actually started the game myself. Anyway, I also want to cry a bit when the princess was crying, because apart from nice looking graphics, there seems to be no other improvement in this port whatsoever. This really feels like an advanced 8-bit game intro that probably looked very impressive on the Apple, but anyway, it still might be very fun to play. And before we start playing, I'm going to show you the fastest way to die, which is getting to your fighting stance and then take a step backwards, because you will fall to your death. That is also the only challenge that the environment ever even gives you, and you saw very much that the animation was really not rotoscoped in this case, it was just a sprite going down. So they probably could not find a volunteer. They probably couldn't find a volunteer to do some falling acting. But there's another really fast way to die. And I do apologize again for the very loud music, but the sound effects are actually very soft. So I have to keep the music very loud. And this is the second way to instantly die in this game, which is running towards your enemy and forgetting to take a fighting stance. Yep, in this game you should not forget to actually fight. My enemy just killed me with one hit because I forgot to take my fighting stance. Switching between running and fighting is actually very important in this game. So what I have to do is actually start running towards this temple and take the fighting stance in time so I can actually face my enemy. Which suddenly has some very nice, oh I say nice, it has some sort of okay 6-bit sound effect. And yeah, I have to choose from one of the total of 6 moves available for me, which I control by the keyboard by Q, A, Z, W, S, X. And I can do sequences of 3 moves. And after that he goes back to his fighting stance. And as you can see, the fighting is actually not that impressive, but I have to make sure his energy bar depletes before mine does. And of course, if my energy is low, I can sort of avoid my enemy and my energy will regenerate, but so will the energy of my enemy. So I will say just get close and try to attack as much as possible, but realize that actually when you walk really slow. Which means I just basically keep spamming the same move. And after you win your fight, of course, you go back in running mode and start to run towards the temple, because we get the next sort of cinematic part of the game where the evil guy sends another one of his guards or henchmen towards me. And he really runs in very slow motion, but you can see me running, him running, in an attempt to make it more cinematic. And I guess on the Apple II, this all looked very, very impressive. I would say on a 16-bits, not so much, to be honest. And you can see, yeah, when I walk forward, he's actually quite slow. But if I'm lucky, I actually get 3 hits in. If I'm not lucky, my enemy will actually get a hit in, and I will actually move backwards. So all the work is done for nothing. And you can see me spamming the whole same move again. And we are sort of getting towards the weaker part of the game, and actually my low kick has the longest reach, so that's why I keep spamming that one instead of the other ones. Because I think even my... Oh, and I can basically... These ones I can keep spamming all the time, but let's not do that. But... Yeah, you can see he got 2 hits in because I was moving so slow, and I have to wait until my forward move is finished before I can fight again. So yeah, and I guess I only have 6 moves because rotoscoping was apparently quite a cumbersome and long process. And of course, looking at my enemies, also on this one. Oh. He's running towards me. I'm still in my fighting stance, idiot. Oh well, that wasn't very smart. But as you can see, with a look at my enemies, you can see rotoscoping is indeed a very cumbersome and time-consuming process, because every enemy is just me wearing a different hat all the time. And I think that's just, I mean, on 8-bit you probably wouldn't notice that much, but on the 16-bit graphics it's very, very noticeable. And I think it's actually kind of hilarious. I mean, yeah, it's... But the biggest disappointment is, despite the very much nicer looking graphics compared to the Apple II or the other 8-bit systems, the gameplay is just ultimately boring. You can see the only way to get anywhere in this game is basically spam the same move all over again, because, yeah, my enemies are not that smart, so they sort of come towards me like I... Obviously, they do the very thing that I'm trying to avoid because I move so incredibly slow. And then another guy comes and he's actually wearing the same hat as the previous one. And I'm trying to run and it's just... So I'm hoping it's not it's just limited by a number of enemies, not by the actual distance I'm covering. But yeah, here again, I moved towards him. It took me an age to get there. You can see that the enemies are actually getting a little bit more careful. And again, oh come on, guy. Come on, don't stop being so careful. You can see he's a bit more careful. He keeps his distance, but my energy bar regenerated, so I don't care that much. Let's just give him punches. But yeah, is this exciting fighting? I would say no. I mean, for the first few enemies, I just end up waiting for the enemies to come closer. And now he's just... yeah, I get towards him. He gets a kick in, I get a kick in, but really, we haven't really gained a lot. And this is just... and also the sound effects, they are so low in volume compared to... So yeah, now I'm just waiting for him to do some closer move and then I can kick him. And I hope he will come closer to me often enough to actually... Now he got 2 hits in. And again, so it's probably not the best, yeah. I don't know. I'm already bored of this game. And that also means I probably won't make it until the infamous ending, where the princess is actually awaiting me with open arms, and I have to run into her arms. And of course, when I approach the enemy, the princess in fighting stance, the same thing will happen when I approach the enemy while not being in fighting stance. She will be really annoyed with me. She won't take it lightly. She will kick me in the groin, and it means instant death for me. And to be fair, I didn't play this game a lot when I was young, and I forgot how to actually get the most out of it. And now he's just moving so slow, and I'm getting hit all the time because he's just waiting for me. He stole my tactics. My twin brother wearing a different hat. And there's no move I can do that actually makes me come closer to him. And you can see that now, yeah, I can walk backwards, maybe to lure him a bit more close. Well, that did work. I got some hits in, but he still has more energy than I have, so maybe I should lure him into... okay, that works. But yeah, is this exciting? Is this an exciting fighting game? I would very much say no. I mean, it really isn't. You know what? I'm just going to let him kick me and make a game over, because I am already bored by it, and it's just... Oh, he gets some hits in, indeed. Because to be fair, if this is the way I have to get to the end of the game, which involves a lot more enemies than just this one, this game is going to take forever, and I don't think I can take any more of this dull gameplay. So how good is this game really? Historical significance aside, well, I would say the biggest problem with the later ports, including the ST port, is that by then it was already 1988, and for that time the game just feels a bit lacking. The action isn't good enough on its own. There also isn't much else in the game. I mean, the running in between fights doesn't really add anything, so maybe adding some challenges like having to find your way, some climbing or jumping required, and some traps to avoid would have made the game so much better overall. And yes, for those listening carefully, yes, I am actually basically describing Prince of Persia here, which is exactly the game Jordan Magnan created after this one, using this game's engine, but just he added all the things that I'm missing in this game. So Prince of Persia fans should probably play this game out of sheer appreciation, and because it led to exactly the game that they love the most. And with that, I would say, yeah, thank you for watching. I will not get back to this game. Maybe I will try to find the ST version of Prince of Persia if there ever was one, because I only played that one on the PC. But it's interesting to see, maybe I can play that one. For now, I would like to thank you for watching.